What's up, everybody? Jason Frausto for TennisUnleashed.net. And today we're going to take a close look at Jannik Sinner's new serve technique and show you how it's helped improve his game. Coming up. All right, so if there's one thing that we know about Jannik Sinner, it's that his serve has been a liability while his ground strokes have been absolutely massive. So he's got huge power on his ground game. Let's look at his serve and see what the difference is and what he's changed technique-wise between the French Open and Wimbledon of this year. So on the left, we've got a serve from the Australian Open earlier this year from Court Level Tennis, so check out their YouTube channel. And on the right, we've got a clip from 2021 Wimbledon where he's made that serve technique change, and that's from Top Tennis Matches YouTube channel, so make sure you check them out as well. Before I jump into the differences between the serve technique with the serve on the left and the one on the right, I'm going to let this play through a few times and see if you can detect the changes yourself. So if you couldn't see those differences before, let's start pointing out a few major differences. We're going to start with the feet here, right? So on the left, we can see the feet are much wider apart than they are over here on the right side of the screen, where we can see on the right side at Wimbledon 2021, the toes of his back foot are lined up approximately with the heel of his front foot on his serve. And over here, we can see that toe doesn't line up anywhere near with the heel of the front foot on that shoe. And there's a significant reason for that. We'll get into that right away. So he changed to a platform stance from the French Open in 2021 to Wimbledon in 2021. And I think there's a few different reasons for that, and we'll go over them in a second. So just notice the difference in the stance, and we're dealing with a platform stance. And the difference between a platform and a pinpoint, if you're not familiar with the technique difference, is that with a platform, you keep your feet apart as you go into your trophy or loaded position right here. With a pinpoint, you bring your back foot up and you slide it up as you toss the ball right here, and that's what he's doing over on the left. So pinpoint on the left, platform on the right. That's probably the biggest visual technical difference, and I'm going to point out a few other things because of that as well. So let's go back here just a little bit. So the difference in the width of the feet, platform versus a pinpoint on the left, the old serve. And another huge difference you see between those is that on his pinpoint serve on the left here, the stance on that one, the hips will basically remain level for the most part as he brings his back foot up. So he's not getting a significant drop in his hips. His hips are already down as he goes to the ball toss for the most part. There's very little drop in his hips. But let's compare that to the platform on the right. You'll see that from the time that he starts his toss up here, his hips will drop significantly down on the right, and he will really load with his legs to go after the ball. So he's got a much bigger drop in his hips and his knees and his leg contribution for the serve than he did before. A pinpoint stance where your foot slides forward like this on the left will drive your weight more forward typically, and a platform on the right will typically drive your weight more forward and up together with that double leg drive. So again, pinpoint on the left versus platform change on the right. And then we also notice something pretty significant here on the right as well, and that's the racket lag in the position on the right versus the left. So his racket is not getting up into the trophy position anywhere near as fast on the right as it is on the left. It's lagging behind, like you see on his forehand or backhand, his ground strokes where he has some lag, and then the racket catches up at the last second and really speeds up. So on his serve now, we're starting to see some significant lag with the racket coming up later in the swing than it is on his old pinpoint on the left. And what that basically means is this racket's going to have to accelerate really fast on the right to get to the contact point as quickly as the one on the left that's already up in that position. So he's added some significant lag along with his platform stance. You'll also see here too, and I think this is one of the main issues with his old pinpoint here, he just doesn't look balanced or powerful in this position right here. He looks off balance, he looks uncomfortable, and he doesn't look like he's going to be bringing big heat on his serve. This is preventing him from hitting consistently big serves. And I think one of the issues, again, coming back, is those hips and how they pretty much don't drop down as he was tossing in his old pinpoint. The hips basically stay level for the most part as he brings that foot forward, versus on the right, we see a significant dip in the hips on the right. So very little hip dip on the left. He also is missing a bit of that corkscrew move on the left on his serve with the pinpoint, where you really twist your hips as you bring your foot forward. He doesn't really do that. The hip position is pretty much sideways here and stays in the same position as he comes forward. So the load isn't as strong or efficient. Let's move forward from this position now. Difference again in that racket leg, but let's see if there's any other significant differences besides that leg at this point. And here you definitely see that the tip of the racket, how far it drops down, appears to be significantly lower on the right than it is on the left at this stage of the swing. So he's getting a bigger racket drop throughout the swing. And if that racket drop is bigger, that means he's going to have to, again, swing faster to get up to the contact point. A little bit longer swing takes more racket head speed to get to the same contact point at the exact same time. So we can see the drop here of the right hand and arm. The hand here, the elbow here, is lower than it is on the left. So he's got a significant racket drop difference there. Contact is taking place at the exact same time though, right? So more racket head speed over here. And this looks pretty similar for the most part. One thing we can do as recreational players or everyday players at home is kind of learn from this too. A lot of rec players will really open up their body too early on the serve. On both of these serves, he does a very good job of keeping his body a little bit more sideways. It's not completely open to the net at contact with the ball. And that includes not just his upper body, but also his hips and the position of his legs. Let's just move forward from here now. We see significant pronation, right? So with that racket face really turning out to the right as he comes through on his swing. And again, at the recreational level or even some high levels, we see a lack of pronation on serves. Make sure you're getting that arm, hand, and shoulder rotation as you come through on your serve. And then here he lands, and we see a little bit of difference in the landing as well, right? So on the left, he's not as far inside the court actually as he is on the right. With a pinpoint stance where your back foot is coming forward, you would expect him to possibly land further out in front of the court than he is on his right, but he's actually further inside the court on the right with the platform stance than he is on the pinpoint on the left. All right, so let's just review those major technical differences on the serve for Sinner from the Australian Open 2021 to Wimbledon 2021. And remember, he was still using a pinpoint stance serve at the 2021 French Open against Nadal, but that changed at Wimbledon. So he made that change pretty quickly. So let's just come forward from here a little bit. Big difference in the position of the feet, right? The stance. Hips here dipping a lot earlier because of the pinpoint stance versus the platform. The back foot comes up in a pinpoint stance. On a platform, the feet will remain separated during the load. Significantly more racket leg with the racket head legging behind on the right versus the left on his pinpoint. Balance is poor here. Power position is poor. He does not look confident in this position. He looks loaded over here on the right. From here, a little bit deeper racket drop too on the right as well. We talked about that before, so that's another technical improvement. That means the racket head has to accelerate more to get to the contact at the same time as the racket head on the left here. And then moving forward, the pronation looks very similar for the most part at this stage. And then on the finish, he's getting more inside the court with his platform than he was here with his pinpoint. And just remember, if the best players in the world are looking to make technical changes, strategical changes, fitness changes, anything, dietary, you should be doing the exact same thing if you're working with players or you're working on your own game. Don't feel like anything is ever good enough. You want to have the mindset that you're constantly looking to improve your game. All right, that wraps it up for this video on how Jannik Sinner improved his serve technique. If you found this video helpful or you feel like you learned something today, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. I'm Jason Frausto for TennisUnleashed.net. I'll see you next time.